Thank you for everybody that's turned up today. It's a little bit cold, but to be honest, I think not that bad at all. I actually wanted to speak to you about having no excuses. And I respect every one of you, by the way, that's come here today and that's listening to me, particularly any one of you that's thinking, oh, because I'm a girl. And I get that. I get that I'll never fully be able to appreciate and understand the male psychology. However, all I can say is I've worked for many, many years with thousands of men and women, and I coach them both to chat to one another. And there's no way that I'd be standing up on that stage with all of the other PUA guys in the world if I was just a chick, or I just was flirting with one of them, or I actually secretly had a love affair with Ross Jeffries, who is an awesome guy, by the way, but it ain't like that. So what I want to give you today is just a very, very quick piece of advice. One about your mindset, and then also, because I know this is always popular, a very simple technique that you can employ, which should help you to be able to speak to women much more frequently. So anyway, I was out in the west coast of America. I'm going to keep going on about it because I'm still trying to adjust back to the unglamorous reality of my life. And why I got to thinking about no excuses is I ended up, for one thing, I ended up couch surfing at Ross Jeffries' house in LA. He loves his cats. That's one thing I'm going to say. But the other thing I'm going to say is that man who actually, he had a heart attack 6 weeks before I arrived. A heart attack. Now that is a phenomenal life event. And he genuinely, I kid you not, pulled out his phone and showed me footage of himself in the hospital having intravenous fluids running in and out of his veins, fucking hitting on the nurse. He was asking the nurse out, like, back from the dead, 24 hours in, cracking on with life. And we were talking, we were like, you know what the problem is? Modern life makes it easy for you to create excuses, so how about we don't do that? And this is something I try and also implement myself, by the way. One other little funny example of this is when I was in America, I did a ridiculous climb of somewhere called Angel's Landing, which is 7,000 feet in the air, which is 2.5 times the Shard in height. And 12 people died last year. Wicked, always good to know. And when I finally got to the summit, and it's a proper a climb, there's a dating relevance to this, by the way, and you know, you have to pull yourself up on these tiny ropes, and if you fall, you're dead. And when I got to the summit, I filmed myself. I made a vlog. How modern is that? With my phone, because I was like, look, I've made it. Woo, look at the drop, I haven't died. And I walked over the summit to, there's this tiny little landing where you can take 360-degree views. I have this all on camera. I walked over the top of the mountain, and there was one male hiker up there as well. And as I walked over the top of the mountain, he said, oh my God, you look really beautiful. We have to go for a drink sometime. And he did it 7,500 feet in the air. I was the only woman there, and there was a perilous, fatal drop. He still fucking put himself out there, all on film, and my God, I respected him for it. However, life is, when you're actually gonna go out there onto Longacre, and you haven't got dramatic scenery around you, and you're not fucking Ross Jeffries, then sometimes it's very easy to slip out of doing things. It's very easy to make excuses. It might be that you can't think of exactly the right thing to say, or you know what, she might be eating her lunch, or maybe she's walking quickly, she's chatting to a friend, her headphones are in. I'm trying to think of all the other, she's not smiling, so she looks like a grumpy person. You've walked up to her and actually you walked close for a bit and then you got a bad vibe and then you decide to back off again. There is an infinite amount of excuses that our wonderful creative brains will supply us with to not do things. The problem with excuses though is what we're really facing, as I'm sure many people before me have told you, is our own fears. And in life we face fear all the time. And this is something that human to human, regardless of gender, I can talk to you about. Because I believe that life is like a curve of fear. And what happens is that most people get so far up on the curve and then they drop off. They're like, oh, this is scaring me. This is why all of my friends back home in Cornwall are married. That's my theory. It's because at some point, that's why people, they go, I want to have this thing, but I'm not quite sure I'm good enough to get it. So, I'm just going to stay here at this point on the curve. I'm not going to ascend the next 1,000 feet because that looks fucking terrifying. And so people stay, but they stay and they're not quite satisfied. And that's when people face their fears on things. That's when people start to lead an amazing life. That's why, sometimes entrepreneurs are super successful, because they face the fear of having no money in their bank account, no idea how they're going to pay their rent, no business coming in. They suck it up, they deal with it, they keep their heads screwed on, and you know what? They end up being the people that lead the outrageous lifestyle. And then there's people who do the same thing romantically. But it's not because the first thing they went to went great. It often sucks and crashes and burns along the way. And I can say this to you as an entrepreneur, very much a street gamer person, and a bit of an urchin. I've been homeless. I've almost died on several occasions. And it's only after that you can stand here and you can go, actually, walking up to a person in the street is not that bad. It's a pretty low degree of fear. But practically, what can I teach you today that will help you to deal with that? The first thing I want to say is that the exact words you say, and they're not that important, but I can give you a structure for them a little bit. And this reminds me actually of one of my clients I was chatting to in Las Vegas, and he saw a woman at the bar, a really cute woman, and she was sat down with her friend, and he noticed, joy of joys, her friend was getting like her handbag and her scarf together, and he thought, brilliant, a woman is going to be sat alone at the bar, an attractive woman. When her friend leaves, I'm going to swoop in there, and that's when I'll say hello. And that makes sense to me. That's sensible, much easier to speak to one person than two. However, she then fucked it over for him, because as soon as her friend left, she went down and sat with a group of 2 guys and another 2 girls. So the situation went from like borderline manageable to really, really difficult approaching a group. And he said, I sat there at the bar and I'd already thought of my opening line. It didn't work anymore when she was with her other friends. I didn't know what was going on because I thought she was just there with one friend. And then she seemed to know everybody at the bar. And I couldn't think of anything to say. And I just wasted 20 minutes stalking a woman. He was like, it was horrible. And I thought, hang on in a minute. Your opener is kind of there. I want you to see that the opener is there, and also that there is a way that you can counterbalance anything that potentially would be her concerns. So the opener is just what you see, and the more authentically you speak, the better it will work for you, because people always resonate with sincere. Like when I walk over the top of the mountain and some random guy from Wisconsin or something tells me that I look ethereal and the sun is behind me, I don't go, haha, lol mate, I'm never going to marry a Midwesterner, you've got to be joking. Instead, I think that's really awesome, because he said exactly, it was so present, it was so in the moment, it was so perfect. So if you say whatever your gut instinct is, even if it's something a bit sexual, even if it's something you wouldn't normally say, it will rarely lead you wrong. And how you phrase it is you just say, hey, and then you use a simple structure. All you need to say is, I like. Hey, I like, plus observation. So if that guy in Vegas at the bar had walked up to this woman and in a playful is important, keep it smiling, playful, smiling way had said, hey, you know what, I just had to, I was going to chat to you about 5 minutes ago, and then you suddenly were joined by this massive group of people, so I lost my nerve for a second. You're like the most popular woman in the bar, how did this happen? If he'd have said something like that, which is actually what he was thinking, it is a great opener. It's so observant, it's shown that he's switched into her. Women love men that are socially aware. Women love men that are observant. Women love men who are honest enough and have enough self-esteem to say the truth. That's what they love. They're not looking for a perfect approach robot. Now, what do you think this woman's hesitation might be? What's the possible negative that could appear in her mind if this guy says that to her? What could she be thinking? Stalker. All right, yeah, sometimes women might think that. So all that you do, get this, is between the hey, where you're getting her attention, she's focused on you, and that lovely, very simple observational opener saying, I like, plus whatever you're seeing or thinking. In between that, all you need to do is buffer it with one little line that basically acknowledges what your limitations are. And I want you guys to get better at acknowledging your limitations rather than ducking out and not doing something entirely. So if you said, hey, this is probably going to make me look like I've been staring at you for 20 minutes, but I don't care. immediately you've taken ownership of what the issue is. She's not going to think you're a stalker then, because you've shown comfort with the situation, you've called it out, you've actually brought it into the open. So whenever people do that, it suggests that there's nothing that creepy going on. And because you've called it out, you've taken any sting, anything that she could throw back at you, it doesn't exist anymore because you own it now. So you can do this time and time again with every woman you speak to. So what your hesitation is, use it to supply the opening parts of the conversation and the interaction. Oh, it's tempting, isn't it? I won't be offended if anyone ditches out of this talk for this reason, like any point now. That's absolutely fine. No excuses. But what I want you to understand is that excuse can be your opener. It can be your conversational tool if you use it in entirely, hello, hey, do you want to join?
No, it's okay.
You sure? It would really even out the gender balance right now. Okay, have a great day, guys. Bye. So whenever you have that, no excuses. Chat to the people. We should definitely got them.
All of us.
And somebody run out after. So whatever your limitations, if she's like eating her lunch and she's halfway through stuffing her face with food, you say, hey, I know this is massively inappropriate because you're right in the middle of a Subway sandwich, but I just had to say, I really like women that eat Subway sandwiches, like fuck a salad, you know what I mean? But I think we're going to get on. And it's great. And all you've done is notice someone's eating lunch and you've got your opener, you've got something playful in there to keep the tone right, and you've acknowledged whatever is holding you back. So I want you to think about about a few lines. I know this is massively inappropriate. That'll help you out a lot. I know this is massively inappropriate, but I had to say. Or you're going to like this, or I'm just going to have to come clean to you. You might hate me in a few seconds for saying this, but I really felt I should say. Remember these little phrases and then speak your truth. Speak what is actually really holding you back, rather than actually standing there and letting it psych you out. You are all the masters of your own destiny. And honestly, street game, as much of these little tactics are useful, as much as your body language is useful, it's a one huge mental battle, just like fucking everything in life. And you need to start beginning to feel like you're entitled to it, that what you have to say is okay, that whatever you think is holding you back, you all know you're not creepy guys, you're not weird guys, you're the kind of guys that women should want to meet. You're decent guys, you're trying to go out there to learn how to connect with women in the real world. You're not just, you might partly, but you're not just on Tinder. You're doing more than that. And you're weird, you know what, fucking well done to everybody that's going out there today, because it takes tremendous guts to put yourself on the line. It's a huge thing that you're saying to yourself. You're saying, you're giving your self-esteem and yourself a huge thumbs up, and you're saying, you know what, everything I've got going is awesome. You're presenting yourself to women in the right way, and this is the way that I strive for men and women to communicate with one another. I've actually got to rush off, so I'm sorry this talk is going to be super short today. But thank you once again for having me in this dodgy little alley. And one thing I will say is I put a free gift, this is important, I've got a free gift up on the internet. It is free, there's nothing weird about it. I'm not that smart, like I don't have a shared mailing list. You're not going to get any weird emails. I'm not going to sell your details to like Procter and Gamble or something. So if you go to hayleyquinn.com/kiss, that's easy to remember. There's a free gift out there for everybody that's at the Saturday Sarge today. I'm not doing too much coaching these days. Life has evolved wonderfully. But if you want to chat to me about anything else, I'm sure I can give you my email address and we can start a conversation. But in the meantime, no excuses. Go get those American honeys that just walk that way. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.